So we have completed until question number 3 now. We're going to start with question number 4. So question number 4 is again, we actually have to calculate time weighted rate of return, and for this we actually have to calculate holding period returns, HPR, holding period returns. So if you look at the question, assume the investor makes the following investment. Today she purchases a stock of Redwood Alternative for $50. After 1 year, she purchases another stock of $75. And after 1 more year, she sells both stocks for $100 each. And there is no transaction cost, no taxes. Investors require rate of return is 35%. During 1 year, the stock paid 5%, $5 as dividend. And in year two, the stock paid $7.50 as dividend. So when we talk about holding period returns, here, so the ending value, we subtract the beginning value, we add back the cash flows, and then we divide it by the beginning value. So the denominator is the beginning value, and the numerator is going to be the ending value. Ending minus beginning plus dividend. This is going to be the numerator. Just remember this thing. So she purchased a share of stocks at Redwood Alter for of Redwood Alternative. So we start from P0. P0 is going to be $50. Dividend for first year is going to be $5, and price at time one, because after 1 year she purchased another stock for $75. This $50 becomes $75. The value of this $50 stock is now $75. So the period, the HPR for one period one is, so 75 minus 50 plus 5 divided by 50, which is the beginning. So denominator is going to be the beginning value, 50, 75, 80 minus 50 is 30, divided by 50. It's going to give me a holding period return of 60%. And it's simple mathematics. Now for period two, now the stock is worth $75. So period one, we are going to start with period one. The stock is $75, worth of $75. Now she sold the stock for, at P2, the stock's value is $100, and the dividend for second period is $7.5. So now this is the beginning, this is the ending value. So ending value is 100. We subtract the beginning value 75. We add back the dividend of 7.5. Then we divide it by the beginning value, which is $75. So this is going to give me 107.5 minus 75. This is going to give me a value of holding period rate of 43.3%. And now this is my first holding period 60 and second holding period 43.3. Now I'm going to calculate using geometric mean. So 1.6, 1.433 square root minus 1. This is going to give me my value. So I'm going to share my calculator now here. Where is my calculator? So in my calculator, I'm going to plug in the numbers. 1.6 multiplied with 1.433 Now I'm going to square root it, 1.51. Now I'm going to subtract 1 out of this. This is going to give me 0.51. I'm going to multiply this with 100 so that it gets calculated, it gets converted into a percentage number. So 51.42 is my time weighted rate of return. And I do have an option C, 51.42. So previously, when we did this question where Jonathan Woods invested, so this is in between 1 year only. So that's why we did not square root, we did not squared, we did not uh, rooted it. So that's why. But when we talk about holding period returns, multiple holding period returns, we are going to use geometric mean here. And we are going to root it to the power of n. Now let's go to question number 5. So question number 5, it's again a question from time weighted. In this question also they want us to calculate the holding period return, the time weighted rate of return, and for this we are going to calculate holding period return here. Just remember this thing that the denominator in the beginning, the numerator is the ending, minus beginning the denominator. So investor buys one share of stocks for $100. At the end of year one, she buys three more stocks for $89. So here the value of the stock has actually fallen down. So the ending value is 89, the beginning value is 100, and the stock paid dividend of $1 at the end of 1 year. So there is going to be a dividend of $1, and we started from $100. So this is going to give me 90 minus 10, 100 upon 100. This is minus 10%. This is the holding period 1, HPR 1. At the end of year 2, she sells all four stocks for 98. So this is the closing. This is the ending value. So she sold all the stocks for 98. She started from 89. And this stock's value is actually there was a dividend of $1, and we started from 89 here. Just so this is going to give me 99 minus 89 divided by 89. This is going to be again 10 divided by 89. This is going to be 11.24%. So this is my HPR2. Now I'm going to plug these numbers into my calculation. So 1 minus zero point 0.1 and 1 plus 1124 to the square root, to the power square root minus 1. I'm going to uh, calculate this using geometric mean. So sharing my screen again with you, my calculator screen. 1 minus zero point 0.1. I'm going to multiply it with 1.1124. This is going to do 1.1124, and this is going to give me 1. I'm going to subtract 1 divided by, okay, multiplied with 100. Multiply this with 0.1124 to the power of minus 1 into 200. This is going to give me 5.64. So approximately, if I multiply this with 100, No, not multiplied with 100. So approximately 5.64, which is uh, somewhat around 6%, roughly. So this is somewhat around 6%, 6.35%, roughly. So this is how we calculate the time weighted rate of return. Now, question number six. Question number six. It's a theoretical question, and theoretical questions are more difficult than numerical questions because to answer theoretical questions, you need to have proper understanding of the concept. So the question here is that the time weighted returns are used by investment management industry because, and we talked about this, why the time weighted rate of return is preferred by investment industry, because time weighted rate of return is the preferred method of measurement because portfolio managers typically do not control the timing of deposit to the withdrawal from the accounts they manage. So time weighted rate of return is preferred because it is not impacted by the timing of the cash flow. If you look at option A, take all cash inflow and outflow into account using the internal rate of return. Internal rate of return is not calculated when we talk about time weighted rate of return. We calculate basically HPR, and later we use geometric mean to calculate our return. Result in higher return versus money weighted rate of return calculation. This is wrong because this is dependent on whether or not the portfolio manager controls the inflow or outflow of the money from the account, are not affected by the timing of the cash flow. This is the right option. So time weighted rate of returns are not affected by the timing of the cash flow. Money weighted returns, by contrast, will be higher when funds are added at a favorable investment time, or will be lowered when the funds are added during an unfavorable time. And that's why time weighted rate of returns offer a better performance measure because they are not affected by the timings of flows into or out of the account. And this is what we also have here. If the funds are contributed to an investment portfolio just paid before a period of relatively poor portfolio performance, the money weighted rate of return will tend to be lower than the time weighted rate of return. On the other hand, if the funds are contributed to a portfolio at a favorable time, just before a period of relatively high return, the money weighted rate of return will be higher than the time weighted rate of return. I hope you understand the difference between the time weighted and the money weighted rate of return now. So let's go to question number seven. The question number seven is that in which an investor buys a stock worth $200 at time zero. At time one, the investor buys an additional share of $225. At time two, the investor sells both shares for 235. And during both years, the stock paid a dividend of $5. What are the approximate time weighted and money weighted returns respectively? Okay, so let's first calculate the time weighted rate of return. For time weighted rate of return, you need to remember how do we calculate the holding period return. Ending minus beginning plus cash flow divided by beginning. That's going to be our numerator. So in the numerator, we are going to use ending minus beginning plus dividend. And in the denominator, we are going to use the beginning values. So we started from 200. The investor buys additional share of 225. So this 225 becomes 225. This is the ending 225. We are going to subtract 200. We are going to add the dividend. So we started from 200. So this is our HPR1. 300, 230 minus 200 is going to be 30 divided by 200. This is somewhat around 15%. When we talk about HPR2, so HPR2, we started from 225 and we sold our investment for 235. The stock paid dividend of $5 plus 5 divided by 225. So this is going to give me a rough, let me just calculate it, 240 minus 225 divided by 225. This is going to give me a rough value of 6.67%. To calculate the holding period return, to calculate the geometric, to calculate the time weighted rate of return, what we need to do is we need to plug these numbers into into our calculation. So I'm going to add 1.15. I'm going to multiply it with 1.0667. This is going to give me 1.23. Now I'm going to raise it to the power of 2. And I am going to subtract 1 out of this and then multiply this with 100, and this will give me an approximate value of 10.76. So time weighted rate of return is 10.76%. So this is our time weighted rate of return, 10.76. 10.76 is option number A. We have that in option number A. So we can make an inference here that option number A is correct, but we need to calculate the money weighted rate of return also. So for money weighted rate of return, what we are going to do is uh, we will calculate it the, from the internal IRR perspective. So money weighted rate of return is going to, we are going to start with the 200. Then so this is the cash outflow here, 200. Then we added 225, the another cash outflow, 220, 25. Now we are going to divide it by 1 plus rate. And on the other hand, we have a cash outflow. We have a cash outflow of 5, 1 plus R at the year 1. And we have a cash inflow. Okay, we have a cash inflow of 5. We have a cash inflow of 2 shares we have sold. So 400 and so 235. 235 is going to be 270 plus 2 shares is 200. Sorry, 235 plus 235 is 470 plus 10 is 480. So 480 divided by 1 plus R square simply. So this is how our equation is going to look like. And if we solve for R, so this is going to be a cash outflow. This is going to be a cash outflow. This is cash inflow. This is cash inflow. So CF0, CF1, CF2, CF. That's what we need to figure out. So the initial cash outflow is going to be 200. Then we received a dividend of $5. So 225, we are going to, this is an outflow. We are going to add $5 here. So this is going to give us 220. So this is our cash outflow. Now we talk about cash inflow. So cash inflow 235 into 2, it's going to be 270, 470. And we have two $5 stocks dividend. So 10. This is our 480. This is our cash inflow. So cash outflow and cash inflow. Now we are going to plug these numbers into our calculator in the cash flow function. So let's plug these numbers. So first 200, which is a cash outflow. We are going to plug this number, enter. We go, we press the down arrow. 225 and two, we are left with 220, which is again a cash outflow. This is a negative number, enter. And this is our cash inflow, enter. Now IRR, we compute our IRR and it's going to be 9.39. So 9.39 is our IRR. Our money weighted rate of return, money weighted is 9.39, and this means option number one is the correct option. Okay, so I hope this much is clear. Uh, you are able to figure out at least how we are calculating what is the difference between money weighted and time weighted rate of return. The question number eight. So question number eight is computing is a theoretical question. So computing the internal rate of return of the inflow and outflow of a portfolio would give us would give the, so since we have previously the the seventh question we have just finished it. So if we talk about the inflow and outflow of the money in the internal rate, when we talk about internal rate of money, internal rate of return, we are talking about the money weighted rate of return. When we are talking about the holding period return, we are talking about the time weighted rate of return. And the final question. So the final question here, the question number nine. So investor makes these investments. She purchases stock for $50. After 1 year, she purchases another additional shares for another additional share for $75. And after 1 more year, she sells both share for $100. And there is no transaction or there is no any transaction or taxes. And during 1 year, the stock paid $5 share dividend. In year two, the stock paid $7.5 share dividend. The investor's required rate of return is 35%. So her required rate of return is 35%. Her money weighted rate of return is equal to how much? Okay. So when we talk about money weighted rate of return, we talk about internal rate of return and we talk about cash flow zero, cash flow one, cash flow two. So here we are going to calculate it as cash flow one, cash flow two. So initially she purchased the stock for $50. So that's going to be a negative 50 in the first year. After 1 year, she purchased additional stock for $75. So now she has purchased a stock for $75. This is again a cash outflow. But this time she received a dividend of plus five. So she received a dividend of plus five. So the net cash outflow is $70. So the net cash outflow is $70. For year two, in year two, she sold both her stocks for $100. So she has sold both of her stocks for $100. This means she actually have two stocks now. One stock, one share here, and another share here. Now she has sold both of her shares for $100. So she has sold two shares for $200. And another thing is that in year two, the stock paid 7.5 per share, $7.5 per share. So there is $15 of dividend. So this is going to be $215 of total dividend. So this is her cash inflow. So cash flow at time 0 is 50, cash flow at time 1 is minus 70, and cash flow at time 2 is actually 215. If I plug in these numbers into our calculator using my cash flow function, so I will go to the cash flow function, I will plug in first 50 negative, I will press enter, then I will go to then I'm going to plug in 70 negative, enter. Then I'm going to plug in 215, which is a positive inflow. So enter internal rate of return compute. Internal rate of return is going to be 48.86. So let's go back. So internal rate of return is 48 point something. So this is our correct answer. And her required internal rate of return was 35%. So she does makes so this means that this investment here, her money weighted return is greater than internal rate of return, and this means this was a positive cash flow for her, and she has made uh, profit on this investment. So that's all. So we have finished LOS. We have finished LOS 1C of chapter 1 of quantitative methods. So in the next reading, we are going to start with uh, LOS 1D. All right. So I will see you then. Thank you. Thank you for attending this session.